Last time we have seen that whenever data is to be communicated in both the directions, from transmitter to receiver and receiver to transmitter, or in other words transreceiver, at that point of time the frame structure can be like this: sequence number, acknowledgement number, data. And this is how data will be transmitted. Rather than sending acknowledgements and data separately, we can combine them. And when we combine them, that is known as piggybacking. Do you remember this? Okay, so we are going to write a code for this program now, where we have just one program. The same program is available at the transmitter and at the receiver. At the transmitter and receiver, or rather, let me use the terms at both the parties, A and B. Both of them are acting as transmitter at some point of time and then receiver at the other time. Please remember the frame structure is 0, sequence number, acknowledgement number, and then the data. When it is received properly by B, then B will be sending the first frame, which will have sequence number 0, acknowledgement of this 0, and then B0 data, and so on. So now let us look at the program. Maximum sequence number is defined as 1. So if maximum sequence number is 1, that means your sequence number can have maximum value 1 and the sequence number is 1 bit long. Next frame to send is the variable of transmitter, and frame expected is a receiver variable. Both of them are initialized with 0. Transmitter is going to send the next frame 0 and receiver is expecting frame number 0 initially. From network layer, we are getting data in the buffer. So in the buffer, what do we have as per this example? We have A0. As per this example, in buffer we have A0 value. A0 we are putting in the information part of the frame. Next frame to send is 0, that we are writing in the sequence number, and acknowledgement is 1 minus frame expected, that means 1 minus 0, that is 1. So sequence number 0, acknowledgement number 1, and information part is 0. This frame has been constructed and transmitted to the physical layer, and then we are starting timer for 0. Is this part clear with you all? Then what do we do? Then we are waiting for an event, because one frame has been constructed, it is sent, and timer has been started. Now we are waiting for an event. If the event is frame arrival, then from the physical layer, read frame R from the physical layer. Check the sequence number. Is sequence number same as frame expected? That means is sequence number 0? Yes. Then give information part of this frame to the upper layer and increment frame expected. Now increment your frame expected. Frame expected will be 1. So if you are getting the first frame which is having sequence number 0, we are putting data part to the network layer and we are expecting the next frame. Then is acknowledgement same as next frame to send? Our next frame to send is still 0. It was 0, it is still 0. So if you are getting acknowledgement of 0, then stop timer for 0. From network layer, get other data. So what is the other data? That is A1. Increment next frame to send. So now increment next frame to send value is 1. Frame expected is 1 and next frame to send is 1. Buffer is A1. So A1 is put in the information part. Next frame to send, that is 1, is put in the sequence number. Acknowledgement is 1 minus 1, which is 0. So 1, 0, A1. That frame is constructed next. 1, 0, A1. We are constructing this frame and we are sending to the communication channel via physical layer, and then we are starting timer for that. We have started timer for this particular frame, and then again we will wait for an event. So That's it. When you're waiting for an event, and if event is timeout, then this will be skipped. So this bracket and this one. This will be skipped. So if it is a timeout, then we are not updating frame expected. We are not updating next frame to send. Whatever content we have, the same frame will be constructed again and it will be resend. If the event is check some error, what is meaning of that? The frame arrived is not correct. The frame is having errors. It is corrupted. The bits are changed. In that case, that part will be skipped and this will be retransmitted. Because we are assuming that that is acting as negative acknowledgement. Like probably it acknowledged something, but because it is crumbled, because we don't know what it is carrying, there is no harm in resending the data again. Because receiver will be able to discard it based on the sequence number if it is already available. So after sending a frame, you are waiting in a blocked call. Whenever you get a frame, we read it, we check the sequence number. Is sequence number what you are expecting? Then you are putting data part to the network layer and you are expecting the next frame. If acknowledgement is same as what you have sent, then we are stopping the timer. We are reading next data from the network layer and we are incrementing next frame to send. Then we can construct a frame which can be sent to the physical layer and then timer will be started. The same code is deployed at both the parties A and B. Tell me, how many of you understood this? There are only two who have understood this. What about others? If you have difficulty anywhere, feel free to ask me wherever you are having the problem. Okay, so if there are no questions, I gather that all of you understood this 1-bit sliding window bidirectional protocol in which both the parties are sending acknowledgements and data frames together by using piggybacking. Now let us go for the next protocol. Next one is go back in protocol. So everyone please pay attention here. In stop and wait protocol, you are sending one frame, then you are stopping the transmission and you are waiting for acknowledgement to arrive. So 50% of the time we are waiting for an acknowledgement to come. So efficiency is never more than 50%. In case of go back in protocol, multiple frames are sent together and then we will wait. So in case of stop and wait protocol, your sender's window is 1. What is meaning of that? Sender can send maximum 1 frame. It can never send more than 1 frame. Sender's window is 1. That means sender is having memory for this particular application 1. 1 frame worth. In go back in protocol, your sender's window is, let us say, 4 and receiver's window is always 1. Receiver's window is 1 and we are assuming that sender's window is 4. So if you are having sender's window 4, what is meaning of that? You will be able to send 4 frames together. Then your buffer will be full and then you will have to wait for an acknowledgement. Sender's window 4, that means 4 frame will be sent and then you will wait for the acknowledgement. So we have sent frame number 0, 1, 2 and 3. Let us say we have sent this 4 frames. Now we are waiting. Receiver is waiting initially from frame number 0. This frame arrives here. That is correct. So acknowledgement for 0 is sent. Now receiver's frame expected is updated. So it is waiting for frame number 1. Frame number 1 is coming correctly. So we are accepting the frame. We are sending that data to the upper layer, which is network layer. And we are generating acknowledgement of 1. Now second frame which was transmitted, let us Say that your channel is corrupted, that there is some error in that frame. So receiver has tried to verify the checksum, but checksum failed. So error is detected at the receiver. So should your receiver accept that erroneous frame? No, it should not accept the problematic frame. So it will discard the frame. And of course, no acknowledgement will be generated for the same. Now frame number 3 is correct. And receiver is getting frame number 3 properly. But can receiver accept frame number 3? Because it is still waiting for frame number 2 and there is just one buffer. If it takes frame number 3, then it will have to deliver that to the upper layer, then only it will be able to receive the next frame. If it does it, then your data link layer is providing data out of order to the network layer. So what it will do, even though 3 is correct, it will be discarded because it is still waiting for frame number 2. When frame number 4 arrives, even if it is correct, because it is not the one which receiver is expecting in order, it will be discarded. That means all the frames will be discarded by the receiver of go back N protocol unless it is the correct frame and it is the expected frame. Yes, Keval, that is true. Discard until you get 2. Until you get 2, you are not going to accept anything other than 2. And if 2 is coming correctly, then only we are going to accept it. So now let us see what will happen at the transmitter. At the transmitter, acknowledgement of 0 was generated. So let us say after some time it will be received. So whenever your receiver is getting an acknowledgement of 0, it will stop the timer for 0. Then acknowledgement of 1 which was generated is received by the transmitter. So transmitter will stop timer for 1. Now can you tell me which event will take place next at the transmitter? What will happen next at the transmitter? Yes, timer is still active. And yes, we are waiting for acknowledgement of 2. Both of you are writing. Timer is still active and we are waiting for the acknowledgement of 2. So now tell me what will happen. Is acknowledgement of 2 generated by the receiver? No. So are we ever going to get the acknowledgement of 2? No. So which event will take place? Can anyone else tell me other than Abhi and Keval? Can anyone else tell me that what will happen at the transmitter? આપણે ઘણી બધી frames મોકલી. Let us say we have sent 0 to 8 frames. Because if we are assuming that our sender's window is 9, our buffer is capable of accommodating 9 frames. So we have sent 0 to 8 frames. 0 frame was correctly delivered. Frame number 1 was correctly delivered. 2 was problematic. Then receiver has discarded all subsequent frames starting from 3 to 8. An acknowledgement of only 0 and 1 are sent and receiver is still waiting for frame number 2. Because it is having only one buffer, it will not be accepting anything other than the frame which it is expecting. It will not accept anything other than 2. Acknowledgement of 0 which was generated by the receiver is received by the transmitter. Transmitter stops timer for that. Then acknowledgement of 1 arrives at the transmitter. Then retransmission timer for frame number 1 is also stopped. Now what will happen? Tell me. This is fairly simple and logical. We have already sent those frames. Go back where, Janil? No, there will be something which will take place at the transmitter. Come on, you already know. After sending the yes, timeout for 2, Sahil, precisely. You have started timer for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So timer of 2 will go off. You have received acknowledgement of 1 and then timer for 2 will go off after some time. So this is the timeout interval. Let us say if the timeout interval lapses, then 2 will be retransmitted. Now here the fun part is in go back in. Now we don't wait for timer of 3 to go expire, then timer of 4 to expire to attempt transmission of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whenever timer of 2 expires, even though our maximum sequence number was 8 here, you go back to the nth position and whichever timer is expired, starting from that, all the frames will be retransmitted. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of them will be retransmitted. Whenever there is a timeout, then starting from that frame up to the maximum number, sequence number, all these frames will be retransmitted. Why? Because your transmitter knows that we are in a setup of go back N protocol. If your receiver could not generate acknowledgement of 2, that means 2 was problematic. That is why I am having a timeout for that. That means even if 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 were correctly delivered, receiver would have discarded them. It would not have accepted them due to lack of buffer. And sooner or later, I have to retransmit them. So why to wait for the retransmissions? We should be retransmitting right from this moment. So whenever there is a timeout interval for 2, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all of them will be retransmitted. So I repeat, what do we do in go back N protocol? We send multiple frames in go back N protocol. Let us say we have sent 4 frames. Okay, now just listen to me. We are sending 4 frames. So we have sent frame number 0, 1, 2 and 3. Your receiver is waiting for frame number 0. Frame number 0 is correctly delivered. So what will happen? Be with me and tell me the events. Yes, acknowledgement of 0 will be sent. Acknowledgement of 0 will be sent. Frame number 1 is also correctly received. Then what will happen? Acknowledgement of 1 will be sent. Frame number 2 is also correctly delivered. Then acknowledgement of 2 will be generated. And now 3 is problematic. Then we are having problem in frame number 3. Then will receiver generate acknowledgement for 3? No. So let us say it is something like this. 0 is your first frame. So we have sent in this scenario 4 frames. The examples which I am giving here, data is delivered to the network, acknowledgement is sent, and now it is waiting for frame number 1. Second frame, which is having sequence number 1, is also received correctly. So data is delivered, acknowledgement is generated, and it is waiting for frame number 2. Frame number 2, which is third frame, is also correctly delivered, then data is generated. It is incorrectly delivered. That means no data to the network layer. And we are still waiting for sequence number 3. Are these events clear with you? Everyone, others, feel free to ask me if you have any doubt in this. Are these events okay? So now tell me, what will happen at the transmitter? At the transmitter, what will happen? No, there will not be directly timeout for 3. First cable, we will get an acknowledgement of 0. So when you get an acknowledgement of 0, then we stop timer for 0. And now in the buffer, how many frames are there? We are having frame 1, 2, 3. We are having 3 frames. That means whenever you are getting acknowledgement of 0, then stop timer for 0 and send 5th frame. Why? Because our sender's window is 4. maximum 4 frames can be sent. So now 0 has been acknowledged. So which are the pending frames? Our pending frames are only these 3. So now we are sending the 4th frame which will be pending in order to utilize our buffer properly. Do you get this point? Love, tell me what will happen next? Yes, true. Now we will get acknowledgement of 1. And can you please also tell me when we get acknowledgement of 1, what do we do? Yes, we will stop the timer for 1. Nice, we will stop the timer. And now, how many frames are pending on the network? We know that now frame number, 3rd frame, 4th frame and 5th frame, only 3 frames are pending. 2, 3 and this is also pending, like we have already sent them. So now we'll be sending the 6th frame. So total 4 frames. At any point of time, we are never going to have more than 4 frames pending on the network. So we are having 3rd, 4th, we are not giving the numbers them now. We are just writing 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th frame. Those are pending. Preet, can you please tell me what will happen next? At the transmitter, what will happen next? We will get acknowledgement of 2. And when we get acknowledgement of 2, we stop the timer for 2 because 2 has been delivered. So if 2 is delivered, I can remove that from the buffer. I can clear the buffer because I will not have to retransmit that. So now 4th, 5th, 6th, 3 frames are pending. So if we have data, we'll be sending the 7th frame. And what will happen at the receiver now? Can you tell me what was receiver doing? Receiver is waiting for sequence number 3. It is waiting for sequence number 3. It is waiting for 4th frame. But it is getting 5th frame, 6th frame, 7th frame. So receiver is going to discard all these frames because receiver is waiting exactly for frame number 3, which is the 4th frame. Now what will happen at the transmitter? Yes, we will have a timeout at the transmitter for the 4th frame. So after some time, we are going to have a timeout for frame number 3, which is 4th frame. So when we have a timeout, what do? Retransmit 3, or let us say 3 sequence number or 4th frame again. And not only that, we are going to also send 5th frame, 6th frame and 7th frame. This is what we are going to do. Send all the frames starting from the timeout to the maximum sequence number. All the frames will be retransmitted again. This is what go back and protocol is about. We send multiple frames. All of them are stored in buffers, and for each frame we have started timer. Receiver is having one buffer. If it is getting frame in order, it accepts it. Otherwise, it rejects it. Pretty simple, isn't it? Currently forget about the maximum sequence number. Okay. Currently forget about that. I'll take that very soon. But I want you to clear this at the moment. Is the functioning of go back and clear with all of you? Fine. So now answer me one question. Okay. We have sent this scenario only. Okay. Let us say this was the scenario. We have sent 0, it was delivered. We have sent 1, it was delivered. We have sent 2, it was delivered. And acknowledgement for 0, 1 and 2 were sent. Now, acknowledgement of 0 is lost on the way. Acknowledgement of 0 is lost on the way. Transmitter is directly getting acknowledgement of 1. Then what will transmitter do? Initially, transmitter has sent this frames 0, 1, 2, and 3. So it is waiting for acknowledgement of 0, then 1, then 2, and then 3. But acknowledgement of 0 is somehow dropped on the reverse link, and directly it is getting acknowledgement of 1. Then what do you think transmitter should do? No, it will not retransmit 0. Actually, it will think that I have got acknowledgement of 1 because 1 has been delivered. If 1 has been delivered, that means receiver has accepted that successfully and acknowledgement was sent. And receiver would be accepting 1 only if 0 was also delivered, because here it is a go back and protocol and 1 frame worth buffer is there. So unless receiver has processed 0, it would not be processing 1 and it would not be generating acknowledgement of 1. So if I'm getting acknowledgement of 1, that means it is actually a cumulative acknowledgement. It is actually a cumulative acknowledgement which acknowledges everything from this. So if it is acknowledgement of 7, that means 7 and all previous frames are delivered successfully. So when it is getting acknowledgement of 1, it will stop timer for 0, it will stop timer for 1, it will flush those two buffers, and it will think that now I'm having only 2 frames outstanding, 3rd and 4th. So it will be sending 2 more frames, 5th and 6th. Do you get this logic? That acknowledgement of k is generated only if k is delivered, and k would be delivered only if k minus 1 was also correct. Otherwise, k would not have been accepted. So when I'm getting acknowledgement of k, it is safe to assume that including k, all the previous frames are correctly delivered at the transmitter, delivered at the receiver. Have you understood this? Okay. So now let us talk about something. So now we are talking about the sequence number. That if a sequence number is 2 bits long, then what should be the receiver's window? 1. Receiver's window is always 1 in case of go back N protocol, whether your sequence number is 1 bit long or 2 bits long or 5 bits long or 10 bits long. If our sequence number is 2 bits long, then your receiver's window will be 1. What should be your transmitter's window or sender's window? What is meaning of sender's window? How many frames can you send unacknowledged? And how many frames can you keep in the buffer? That is what we mean by sender's window. So if the sequence number is 2 bits long, then how many frames can you send simultaneously? Why 2? No, I didn't say window is 2. I said we are using 2-bit sequence number. Then what should be sender's window? Or how many buffers should be provided? How many frames will you be able to keep outstanding based on 2 sequence number, 2-bit sequence number? Why 3? Why 3? And others? Others, can you please tell me? One is waiting for, see, Here, when you say 3 is the window, that means you are sending 0, 1 and 2. Okay, so let me explain you this. 3 is actually the correct answer, but how? That I'll explain you. You cannot use the entire range. When I say there is 2-bit sequence number, that means your sequence number can be 1 0 or 0 1 or 1 1. That means your sequence number can be 0 or it can be 1 or it can be 2 or it can be 3. And then sequence number will be reused. So now this is the first frame. Everyone please pay attention. So if our sequence number is 2-bit long, then maximum range of the sequence number will be 2 raised to 2, that will be 4. So 0 to 3, that is the range of the sequence number. If I'm using the entire range of the sequence number, if I'm sending 4 buffers, 4 frames, then what will happen? Let us say it is correctly delivered, so acknowledgement of 0 is sent and it is waiting for sequence number 1. Now this is also correctly delivered, so the acknowledgement is sent and it is waiting. It is also correctly delivered. Now what sequence number it is waiting for next? When 3 or 4th frame is correctly received by the receiver, data is given to the network layer, acknowledgement is sent, and what frame will it be expecting next? What should I write here? Yes, true. It will be waiting for 0. But what that 0 should be? That 0 should be the 5th frame because we are going to reuse the sequence number. Then 1 will be again having the sequence number 6th. 6th frame will be having the sequence number 1 and so on. So in this scenario, let us say all the frames are fortunately delivered properly. They are given to the upper layer and receiver is again waiting for sequence number 0. Now the acknowledgements which are generated 0, 1, 2 and 3. Unfortunately, on the reverse link, all the acknowledgements are wiped out. There was a burst error on the reverse link. Error was for the longer duration and all the acknowledgements are dropped. Your transmitter is not getting any acknowledgement. Then what will happen at the transmitter? Transmitter has sent 4 frames. All of them are delivered. They are given to the network layer. Acknowledgements are generated, but acknowledgements are lost on the reverse link. Then what do you expect at the transmitter next? Yes, all the acknowledgements are lost. Yes, Keval, all the acknowledgements are lost because there was a burst error. For the considerable duration, there was heavy cloud and we have wireless link on which the acknowledgements were traveling. So all the acknowledgements are dropped. The link was broken for some time, let us say. So all the acknowledgements are dropped. So what will happen at the transmitter? So you should tell me, yes, Akash, you are right. Abhi, you are also right. But you should tell me that timeout will take place. Timeout for frame number 0 will take place. That is what I was waiting for you to tell me. Timeout for frame number 0 will take place. Yes, Akash. So now what will we do? We will retransmit all the frames. We are going to retransmit 0, 1, 2 and 3. All these frames will be retransmitted. but these frames are first frames. This is the first frame, this is the second frame, and so on. So what will happen at the receiver? The receiver is waiting for sequence number 0. It is getting sequence number 0. So receiver will be happy to accept it, and it will give it to the upper layer, and it will generate acknowledgement of 0, because receiver thinks that it is the 5th frame. However, we are sending the first frame. Receiver is accepting this, assuming this is sequence number 0 5th frame, but it is actually sequence number 0 first frame. It was the retransmitted frame. So here we are not providing reliable communication. The same data is delivered twice to the network layer, and we have failed. Do you realize this will not work? Okay, so what is the solution to that? Rather than sending all 4 frames, we have assumed that sender's window was 4. That is why we had sent 4 frames. And if all the acknowledgements are wiped out, then we are having this typical condition. Rather than that, let us say we are sending just 3 frames. Our sender's window is 3 if the sequence number is 2 bits long. Then we have sent 0, 1 and 2. 3 frames are sent. All of them are delivered correctly, and receiver is now waiting for frame number 3. All the acknowledgements are again dropped. 3 acknowledgements were generated, and all the acknowledgements are wiped out. So if acknowledgements are dropped, what will happen? At the transmitter, we will have a timeout for 0. Whenever we have a timeout for 0, what will we do? Tell me, what will we do whenever we have a timeout? Retransmit from 0. Yes, resend all the frames from 0. So we are going to retransmit 0, 1 and 2. First, second and third frame will be sent. So will receiver accept 0? No, because receiver is waiting for frame number 3. So receiver will accept 3 and only 3, nothing else. So when 0 comes, it will say that okay, take the acknowledgement of 2. Whatever was the last acknowledgement, it will send again. It will send the acknowledgement of 2 again. Whenever 1 is delivered, it will again send acknowledgement of 2. Whenever 2 is delivered, it will again send acknowledgement of 2. And it will keep waiting for sequence number 3. That means here, these duplicate frames are not delivered once again to the network layer. And whenever you have sent 0, 1 and 2, and if you are getting acknowledgement of 2, what will your transmitter assume? That okay, 2 has been delivered. That means 1 was also delivered, and that means 0 was also delivered. So I should stop timer for 0, 1 and 2 because all of them are delivered. And now we should send the next frame, which is frame number 3, which is the 4th frame. That is what it will be sending. That means, can you generalize this for me? That if your sequence number is n bits long, then what should be the sender's window and what should be the receiver's window? And receiver's window? Yes, receiver's window is always going to be 1. But your sender's window will be this. 2 raised to n minus 1. We will send 1 from lesser than the entire range, so that in the worst scenario, if all the acknowledgements are dropped, then also your receiver is waiting for a sequence number which will not fall in the retransmission range, and hence there will be no confusion. Are we good with this? And see, if you send frame number 0, 1 and 2, then you are open to accept any acknowledgement. You are ready with acknowledgement of 0. You can accept acknowledgement of 1. You can also accept acknowledgement of 2. But 3 you will not accept because that frame you have not sent. So if you have sent, let us say 4 frames, 3, 4, 5 and 6. If you have sent these frames, frame number 3, 4, 5 and 6. If you are getting acknowledgement of 2, will that be a valid acknowledgement? Acknowledgement of 2? Will you accept it? Let us say we have sent frames 3, 4, 5 and 6. We are getting acknowledgement of 3. Let me ask you that way. We are getting acknowledgement of 3. Will you accept an acknowledgement of 3? Yes. If you don't get 3, directly you are getting 4. Will you accept it? Yes, because we are dealing with cumulative acknowledgement. Now let us say you are not getting 3, you are not getting 4, you are not getting 5. You are directly getting an acknowledgement of 6. Will you accept it? Yes. And when I get an acknowledgement of 6, what will we do, Preet? When we get acknowledgement of 6, what are we supposed to do? We will stop timer for 3, 4, 5 and 6. And we will clear this 4 buffers. And we will be sending 4 new frames because 4 frames have been delivered. However, you send 3, 4, 5, 6 and if you are getting acknowledgement of 7, will you accept that? In case if you are getting acknowledgement of 7, then is that an acknowledgement which you will accept or you will have to discard it? No, we will not accept it. We will reject it. If we get acknowledgement of 2, will we reject it or will we accept it? We will discard that also. We will reject it. Yes. આપણે જે મોકલ્યું છે એ રેન્જમાંથી acknowledgement આવે છે, then it is acceptable to us. If we are getting acknowledgement outside this range, then certainly we are not going to keep it. We are going to reject them. So that's it in the go backend protocol. If you have any doubt, ask me. Otherwise, we are going to discuss one interesting function. How many of you understood go backend protocol? Please tell me. No girls? Is there any girl who is in the online mode and has understood this? Okay, fine. So now I take that you have understood this. So now I'm going to discuss one function and then just a second. Hello. So please pay attention to this function, between function. Okay. In this between function, we are passing 3 variables a, b and c. And the function is something like this. If this takes place or if this takes place or if this takes place, then we are returning true. Otherwise, we are returning false. So today I'm going to discuss between function. Next time onwards, I'll not talk about this function. We will directly use it. So please write down in your book what this A, B and C are. A is acknowledgement expected. Acknowledgement expected is A. A is acknowledgement expected. Like if I have sent 3, 4, 5, 6, then which acknowledgement I am expecting in order? I am expecting acknowledgement of 3. Then A will be 3. A is acknowledgement expected. B is the acknowledgement which we are receiving. B is the acknowledgement which we are receiving. And C is next frame to send. C is next frame to send. That what next frame you are going to send. Have you noted down all these 3 variables? now let us take 2-bit sequence number, or let us take 3-bit sequence number. You may be able to correlate that in a better way. We are going for 3-bit sequence number. Then how many frames can we send without waiting for an acknowledgement? 7. Initially we will start from 0. So we are sending 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we will stop because these are the 7 frames. So in this scenario, what is the value of A? What acknowledgement are we expecting in the normal scenario? A is acknowledgement expected. What acknowledgement are we expecting? 0. Yes, we are expecting acknowledgement of 0. And what is the value of C? Next frame to send. What is the next frame which we are going to send next? That is going to be no. You have already sent 0 to 6. Please, everyone, remember, we have sent 0, then we have sent 1, we have sent 2. When I say my sequence number is 3 bits long or my sender's window is 7, that means I have sent 1 by 1 7 frames and then I'm waiting. Yes, so next frame to send is going to be 7. Whenever time permits in future, 7 is going to be my next frame to send. And now if everything is normal, 0 has been delivered at the receiver, acknowledgement of 0 has been generated. So acknowledgement which transmitter is going to receive is 0. So our variables will be like this. I'm taking this example to make you understand the variables. A is acknowledgement expected, which is always going to be the oldest frame which we have sent. Next frame to send will be the +1 of the recent frame which we have sent. And we have received an acknowledgement of 0. So in this scenario, A is less than or equal to B is true. And B is less than C. So it is true. So condition 1 will be true. Will condition 2 be true? This C less than A? No. B less than C. But is C less than A? No. At any point of time only one condition will match. Maximum one condition will match. So first condition is matched. So anyway, it is either this or this or this. So it will be returning true. True means it is a valid acknowledgement. So it is a valid acknowledgement. If this is the scenario, then we are saying that accept this acknowledgement. This acknowledgement is valid. That is what this function is doing. So whenever this happens, so what are we going to do? Now our outstanding frames are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have stopped whenever you are receiving acknowledgement of 0. We will be stopping timer for 0. And can we send one more frame in response to this? What should be that frame number? 7. Yes. So now can you please tell me what will be the variables? What will be the value of A? A is 1. What will be the value of C? No 8. 3-bit sequence number. Yes. C will be 0 because we are going to reuse the sequence number 8 frame but with sequence number 0. And now let us say in this scenario, if I am getting acknowledgement of 1, if everything is normal, then 1 would be delivered. I'll get an acknowledgement of 1. So here A is less than or equal to B, but here B is not less than C. So first condition is not matching. C is less than A and C is less than or equal to B. A is less than or equal to B. C is less than A and A is less than or equal to B. So second condition is true. So this function will return you true. Are we on the same page? Okay. And now in this scenario, okay, somehow the acknowledgement of 0 was duplicated by the network. And what you are getting is this. Okay. What we are getting, wait a second. Three-bit sequence number, I think I can remove that. So we have sent 1 to 7. Acknowledgement expected is 1. Next frame to send is going to be 0. And we are receiving acknowledgement of 0 because somehow on the network there was one duplicate pending delayed acknowledgement. We are getting acknowledgement of 0. So what will happen here? A is lesser or equal to B? No. C is less than A? Yes. But is A is less than or equal to B? No. B is less than C? No. So this will return false, which is true because this is not a valid acknowledgement. We have sent 1 to 7. So we are ready to accept anything from 1 to 7 but not 0. And if you are getting acknowledgement of 0, that will be treated as not a valid acknowledgement. So I have taught you the first condition which will be helpful here. The second condition which will be helpful here. And else part which will be useful when the condition is like this. I want you to tell me when this third condition will come into the picture. Under which type of values and what is the scenario so that you will have to use third condition. Please try to generate in your book and let me know. I hope this much is clear with every one of you. Okay, fine. Please generate the third condition for me. Scenario for the third condition. Is there anyone who has got an answer? Take one more minute. If you cannot figure out, I'll tell you. Okay, so everyone, please be here with me. We had sent 1 to 7 frames. Okay, channel is saying the situation like this. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yes. In that condition, that will happen. Yeah. So now, let us say, once we are getting acknowledgement of 1, then what are we going to do? We will stop timer for 1 and we are going to send the next frame. Which is the next frame? What are we going to send next? Once I have got correct acknowledgement of 1, then what will we send? Everyone be here now? Yes. Then we are going to send 0. So value of A in this scenario is 2. Okay. Value of B, let us say we will see, and value of C is of course here 1. Next one to send is 1. Then receiver has received frame number. Tell me which frame? What should be the value of 0 here? Mhm. If it is 2, let us say if it is 2, then A is not less than A is less or equal to B, but B is not less than C. C is less than A. Then second condition will come into the picture. Yes, yes, 0. So we have sent 2 to 7 and 0. All the acknowledgements were generated, but by example 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are dropped, and we're directly getting an acknowledgement of 0. That would still be a correct acknowledgement. So A is not less than or equal to B. C is less than A, but A is not less than or equal to B. B is less than C and C is less than A. So we will return true because of the third condition in this scenario. Similarly, this will also be true. Janil said that if you sent at some point of time, it would be like this: 6, 7, 0 and 2. 0 and 2, 0 and 1, yes. Like after we have got acknowledgement of 2, in the normal scenario, if I get acknowledgement of 2, I'll be sending then 1. So here acknowledgement which we are expecting in the normal scenario is 2. 3. We are getting acknowledgement of 4. And C will be 2. This is what Chanel suggested. So A is less or equal to B, but B is not less than C. First condition is not true. C is less than A, but A is not less than. Chanel, here the second condition will be matched. Yes, Chanel. Instead of this, we'll have to go for 1. So, moral of the story is that if your acknowledgement is valid acknowledgement, then bitwheel function returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. And we are not going to check this. This we are going to use in this go back N protocol as well as the next protocol, which is selective repeat protocol. I'll be using between function by default now. And we will not discuss it. Are we good with that? Okay. So now, is there anyone who has got the answer that why do we require IP address and MAC address both? And this is the last time I'm asking you. I'm not going to ask you this one more time if you don't get me answer today. Is there anyone who would like to unmute and tell me the answer? બોલો કોઈને બોલવું હોય તો. I think if you're tired, then we can leave this. When you come next time, please be clear with the concept of Copenhagen protocol. So directly we can see the program of that. Between function we have discussed and we are going to use that readily. Any doubt so far? Any one of you? Feel free to ask me if you have any doubt. Okay, then if there are no doubts, let us end it. Thank you.